Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to the channel. My name is Fedorex, and as we did in the last video, it's time to keep going through Route 1 to discover more of what it has to offer. This time we'll be presenting the original bug and a 2-stage dark type. As usual, before starting, I'd like to thank my two friends that constantly help me with the creation of these videos, the great Cyber and Blabcool. The links to their social are down in the description. And as usual, if you want some sneak peek of the rest of Ivris, I suggest you to check out my Instagram page, where a lot of the Pokédex has already been revealed. Meanwhile, if you want to remain updated on any possible news for the Ivris region, I suggest you to subscribe to the channel. I know it is taking me a while to make these videos, but trust me, I've been working on a lot of things that unfortunately require a lot of time. Well, I've gone on long enough. I think now we can officially begin. Let's finish the sort of trio of Route 1 that I didn't finish in the last video. I don't know about you, but I've always seen the regional mammal, bird and bug as a sort of trio of the first route. So, the cool thing about bugs is that you have very few restrictions in how to design them. Obviously it has to be an insect or an arachnid, and if you want to go from a larva to a full-grown insect, it needs to be a 3-stage line. Although this is more my interpretation. So yeah, with this guy I have basically zero restriction. Though recently, in the last few generations, they've been trying to diversify the regional bug just a bit by trying to avoid the overdone butterfly/moth shaped Pokémon, which is a trend that I personally love, especially what they did in Galar. They used that opportunity to finally make a more appealing ladybug Pokémon. Even though I don't hate the lady online. Now. Via, via, via! Fuera di bal! Pusha via! Anyway, for mine I would like to do something similar. Now, I don't know about you, but personally I despise the only two Firefly Pokémon that are officially in the game. So, I'd like to use this opportunity to make a really cool and unique take on a Firefly Pokémon. I know that this insect doesn't specifically belong to Italy, but trust me, there are connections between them and this Mediterranean peninsula. Starting off with the first stage, it's purely based on the larva stage of the Firefly, which apparently already has the classic light at the end of the tail, despite not being fully developed yet. For this design, I didn't want to make something too crazy. As with my mammal and bird, this guy will also be pretty much just the larva stage of the Firefly in the Pokémon style, even though it still shows some elements of what it will end up turning into. But I'll tell you more about this in the other two stages. For now, let me introduce you to Lirvag, the larva Pokémon, a pure bug type. This Pokémon loves to play, with its favorite game being hide and seek. It specifically likes to hide and it's always on the hunt for better hiding spots. Unfortunately for Lirvag, the light it emits from the tail always gives away its position. Many trainers would pretend they can't see it, in order to make them happy. Moving on to the second stage, it takes most of its inspiration from the cocoon stage of the Firefly, and as you can probably tell, it also takes inspiration from samurai and their armor. Why, you may ask? Well, because when I first drew this stage almost 2 years ago, I noticed that the head resembled a bit of a samurai helmet. Now, what does a samurai have to do with Italy, you ask? Well, I'm sure I can find something before the next time lapse. For now, just enjoy this and accept the fact that sometimes I make design first and research later. Well, here is Shograb, the cocoon Pokémon, another pure bug type. Shograb has lost the playful attitude, so for most of its time it just stays still in one position, resting and sleeping. Rarely will they ever get up from their slumber, as it needs to conserve energy from when it evolves. When a Shograb is happy, it will emit a soft light from its tail. This leads to many families taking in Shograb in order to help their kids sleeping at night. The final stage is still very obviously based on a samurai, but in this case it's specifically based on Hasekura Tsunenaga, a samurai that was the first diplomat to visit Italy, trying to open trades with Japan. So yes, this Pokémon is not based on Italy itself, but instead on something that is heavily related to it. Maybe for some of you this could be a bit of a stretch, but it's not like the first time we've seen something like this in Pokémon. I mean, every single region that is not based on Japan has at least one Pokémon based on the land of the rising sun. For the secondary typing, I opted for an admittedly very basic option. It's a Firefly, so it's a fire type. I know, very low-hanging fruit and not very inspired. However, these elements not only fits well with the Firefly inspirations for obvious reasons, but also the general design of the samurai, in my personal opinion. So at the end of the day, this mon ended up being very simple yet very effective. At least in my opinion. Let me introduce you to Shonosect, the Samurai Bug Pokémon, a bug and fire type. This Pokémon is not originally native to the Ivris region, as it was imported as a gift from Yoto to facilitate trades with the ancient empire that once ruled this land. Shonosect has a strong sense of honor, and for this reason it will only fight with Pokémon that believes are at least level. At night, this Pokémon fly in swarm and create spectacular images with light that emits from its tail. Now that we are done with the regional bug, we're going to skip a bit further in the decks. Don't worry, this Pokemon will be presented in the next video. As of now, let's start working on the Dark-type Pokemon. Many different regions have a Dark-type Pokemon at the start of the game nowadays, and this will allow us to already reference some strange monster and creature of the Italian folklore. For this line in particular, I opted for the Tatzelwurm, a sort of strange chimera between a cat and a snake or a lizard. This beast is actually very mischievous and somewhat evil in its disposition, as it will always attack the livestock of the northern Italian farmers, so it's perfect for the dark type. For the base stage, I wanted to make this animal somewhat cute, although let me tell you, it wasn't that easy, since I know for sure a lot of people don't find reptiles as cute as I do. So for this fella I had to play a bit more on the cat side, pushing the reptilian features back just for a bit now. There's not much else to say about this little guy, if I'll be honest. They are just a cute little cat lizard, pretty much just a Tatzelwurm in the Pokemon style. I'm quite happy with how it turned out though. Here it comes, this is Lizat, the scaly cat Pokemon, a pure dark type. Lizards are incredibly shy and will always try to avoid contact with humans as much as possible. They hunt weaker Pokemon for fun and sport. When a lizard catches its prey, it will simply let it go soon after to start chasing it again. After a long while, the prey will tire out and fully surrender to the lizard. The second stage was a bit of a tough challenge, because I honestly didn't really know what way I wanted to go with this design. Did I want it to give a bigger and thicker design, a sort of unmovable beast that could easily tear you apart? Or did I want something slimmer and more serpentine, with a mischievous feel? In the end, I decided to try and sort of mix the two looks I had in mind, making it very serpentine and long, but with a much more feral personality than Lizard. For this design, I also decided to use another representation of the Tatzelwurm, with it now having 4 legs. Meanwhile, for the second type, I clearly had 2 options, being Poison and Dragon, since most reptilian-looking Pokemon fall under one of these 2 types. In the end, I decided to go with Dragon, since Poison doesn't exactly play a huge role in the concept. Not to mention, it just looks very draconic in its design. Maybe this is a bit too OP for an only route Pokemon, but I try to sort of balance this guy by making it evolve using a specific item instead of leveling up. Hopefully it's enough. Make way for Tattlegon, the scaly cat Pokémon, a dark and dragon type. Tattlegon is one of the most dangerous Pokémon in the entirety of Ivris, not for any particular skill, but for its unnatural aggressions towards pretty much anything that moves. Its unwavering anger allows this Pokémon to trace and stalk its target even months after a first encounter. You'd never even know it was there. Only the most skilled trainers can own one of these Pokémon without having a few scars to show it. And with this video complete, we're almost done with Route 1. I promise next time will be our last trek down the route. But for now, let me know in the comment below what do you think of these new designs. Do you like them? And will one of them be part of your team? Meanwhile, I'll see you next time with a bunch of new monotype Pokémon. With that out the way, thank you all for watching and ciao! Huh? Blab. No.